Hello, hello, and welcome to Where Do We Start? A podcast where we explore the stars, the self, and everything in between. I'm your host, Amber Mitchell, and it's around that time of the year where everyone is setting their New Year's resolutions and creating vision boards, which I absolutely love because I'm a vision board every season type of girl because I really do believe they really work if you do them right. So, in this episode, I want to give you some of my absolute best tips so that you can create a vision board that will absolutely work for you. So, first, we have to talk a bit about manifestation, what it is, and why you're creating a vision board in the first place to try to manifest your goals. Because it's not just a visual reminder of the things that you want, it's a declaration and a physical anchor that brings you closer to your goals. Because ultimately, everything is energy. So when you use words like energy, frequency, vibration, they all pretty much mean the same thing. And I really like to explain this best using a radio metaphor. So when you are using manifestation, law of attraction, which the law of attraction is really just a physical law that whether you believe in it or actively try to use it or not, it is affecting you. And manifestation is when you're actively being intentional about the things that you're attracting. So the law of attraction just states that you attract what you are. The energy that you're putting out is the energy that you're getting back. So this is why I really like the radio metaphor for this. So think of it this way. When you're driving in your hometown and you're listening to your local radio station, you can hear it pretty clearly, right? Like you're pretty close to the tower that it's likely being broadcast from, so you can hear it clearly with no issues. But if you start to drive further away from your home, say about 5 or 6 hours away, then it gets harder for you to hear that. Like it gets a little fuzzy and you might have to change the station entirely and listen to a different local radio station. Well, that's exactly how energy works in manifestation. When you say you're trying to attract something or align with it, ultimately you're just trying to get on the same frequency so that you can hear that station loud and clear. And sometimes this is pretty easy. You just have to tweak one or two things, but sometimes it's a bit harder than that, right? It may be a lot further than you think. Maybe what you're trying to attract is very different from your current circumstance, and you may have limiting beliefs that are kind of holding you back, but we're not going to go into that in this episode. But to understand that everything is energy or frequency or vibration, everything has its own energy, whether living or not, and the way that we measure energy is through emotion. So if you can think of the things that you are trying to attract, whether they are physical things or concepts, you can ultimately boil it down to a emotion. And we typically consider the higher vibration emotions like love, happiness, joy, and the lower vibrations like anger, shame, guilt. Now, I just kind of way oversimplified manifestation and the law of attraction for you because I just want you to kind of understand how that relates to you creating a vision board. So now that we have that concept of it, we can start creating one. So the first thing that you want to do is make a list of your long-term goals. And this is going to depend on what you're making the vision board for. I like to make one at the beginning of the year, but I also do like to make them seasonally as well. So if it's for the year, your long-term goals for the year or for that month or for the next 3 months. And it's best if you divide this up into categories. So typically your categories might look something like your physical and mental health, career and money, relationships, and creative goals and hobbies. But depending on where you are in life, you may want to add things like school and education or home and family or travel, whatever makes sense for you. And I'd suggest having 1 to 3 goals for each category. And then the next thing that you want to do is figure out your format. Now, I'm a really big fan of the old school cutting pictures out of a magazine or printing pictures out and cutting them out, gluing them onto a big whiteboard. I really love the idea of that because it kind of gets turned into like this fun creative project. And manifestation really does work best when you take the seriousness out of it and make it more of like a fun game. But of course, we're in the digital age, so you you can also use an app like Canva or Pinterest and create one that you can set as your phone or computer background. But then the more important thing is going to be how you choose the photos that you put on your vision board. Remember, like I said, everything is energy, everything is emotion. So you really want to choose photos that have meaning to you, photos that inspire you, make you feel energized or motivated or excited when you see them. I created a vision board one year that I wanted to be very symbolic. Don't ask why. I don't really remember why I wanted to do it this way, but I wanted all of the images on my vision board to be very symbolic of the things that I wanted. So I wrote down all of my goals, and then I kind of picked out pictures that were, in all honesty, really random things that if you were looking at this board, you'd have no idea what I was trying to manifest. But they were things that I knew what they meant, but they were images that didn't really have a lot of meaning for me. So even though they were like a symbol of the things that I wanted, when I looked at them, I didn't really have any emotions that tied to them because they were ultimately just random photos. So needless to say, that vision board didn't really work very well that year. So I don't suggest doing that. Pick pictures, even if they are kind of symbolic of the things that you want. Again, they have to have meaning for you and make you feel something when you see them. Now, one thing I do want you to do here that might sound a little bit counterintuitive to what I just said is I want you to have one test photo that you put on your vision board. And the reason for this is because when you see examples of your manifestations coming true and happening, the more that you see that, the more confident you are in them. But we often have this tendency to kind of explain things away and assume that, oh, it would have happened no matter what, and it's not because it's on my vision board. So I want you to put one thing on there, one picture on there that maybe seems a bit random or a bit outrageous, but still something that you would like to have happen. So don't put something on there that you don't actually want. Put something that you would like to see manifest in your life and that does have some meaning to you or that you are interested in, but something that when it does happen, you will know without a doubt that it's because you put it on your vision board. It's not a coincidence, and it's not because it would have happened no matter what, because it's so kind of random and outrageous that there's no way that it would have. And I really encourage you to do this because, again, it's just going to kind of reinforce the idea and the understanding that, hey, this thing that I did, this thing that I put intention to, is working. And then the last thing is the importance of where you place it. So you want to place it somewhere that you're going to see it frequently, likely every day. So setting it as your phone or computer back screen or lock screen is a really good idea. And if you make a physical one, you can just take a photo of it and set that as your lock screen. And one of my best tips is that I really love putting it somewhere that other people will see it. So if it's your phone or computer background and other people might happen to walk past and ask you about it, or if you put it somewhere that, in your home or in your room that other people will see. And the reason for this is because you kind of start a conversation around it, right? If people see it and it kind of creates an opportunity for them to ask you about it and then for you to talk about it. If someone asks about one of the things on your vision board, you can talk about it and you're essentially adding energy to it. And maybe this is just me being a little extra delulu, but I often like to think that when someone asks me about something that is specifically on my vision board, that it's kind of a sign that I'm closer to manifesting it. So if you've stuck around until now, then you're kind of getting some of the pro tips and some of the meat of this subject. So having the vision board somewhere that you can see it often works, and it works for a scientific reason. It's because things that are repeated in your environment are things that your subconscious mind will deem important. And this is why things like repeating affirmations works. So what I want you to do is take every goal or every picture on your vision board and ask yourself 2 questions. Ask yourself if you are ready for it right now. Like, if you had that thing, if someone was to give that thing to you right now, are you ready for it? And if not, how can you be more prepared for it? How can you make space for it? And you don't have to actually answer these questions. Your subconscious mind will do the work for you. Now, if you can think of an answer to them, then great. Write it down and consider it to be like part of your action plan to making them happen. But if you can't think of the answers, that's okay. It's a good idea to do this kind of right before you go to bed. Look at the vision board, and you don't have to go through every single picture. Maybe pick a few of them and ask yourself these questions and just kind of let yourself sleep on it. And I promise that you'll have your answers soon enough and be closer to manifesting them. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video and that you found it helpful and that everything that you put on your vision board comes true for you this year. If you like this episode, then definitely be sure to like and review and subscribe. And if you want more content like this, I have a bunch of content like this over on my Patreon, so you can join us there, as well as I do post daily updates on Instagram at theastrolotus. But until next time, take care and keep on shining.